What's up, Sen Squad? Welcome back to another Brawl Stars video. Today we're going to be looking at the stats from the Brawl Stars World Finals that happened last week and see how each of the different brawlers performed and which ones are looking to be the best in the current competitive meta. So this user on Reddit posted an image that showed how many times every single brawler was used in the entirety of the finals matches. So both day 1 and day 2, this was the total number of times that each brawler was used. And far and away, the most used brawler was Carl with 81 different uses, even though we're only dealing with 8 teams matches. And the second most used brawler was Brock, coming in at 56. So already 25 fewer games used than Carl, which is a really significant difference. But 56 is still a really high number compared to the rest of the brawlers. So the third most used brawler was Jean with 35 uses. Fourth place was Spike with 33 uses, and fifth place was Max with 31 uses. So those top 5 brawlers were used the most. So obviously Carl was used an insane amount, over half the games he was used in. So Carl is definitely extremely good in the current meta. He's just so versatile. He can be played in any single mode. Actually, in the finals, across every single mode, he never had below a 35% use rate. These are the stats from this other user on Reddit who made some posts related to specific brawlers in the World Finals. And the fact that one brawler was used more than 35% of the time in every single mode just shows how versatile he is and just how strong he is. With his new flying hook gadget, just gives him so much mobility, paired with his super, just makes him a huge powerhouse in the current meta. But then again, all of these times that these brawlers were used doesn't entirely indicate which brawlers are going to be the best at this top tier competitive level, because some of the comps might have been built just to counter delay, which I know we saw unfortunately in day 2, and sometimes just to really hard counter another team's comps. So in general, some of the lower brawlers that you see used a few times doesn't necessarily indicate that they're better than the brawlers who weren't used at all. They're all just sort of in that low tier, and some of them might have just been used for the purposes that I just mentioned. And also we have to consider the fact that some brawlers were just banned for the entirety of the match. So over the course of the 7 different series that were played out, Colette and Amber were both banned 3 times, Carl, Max, and Jean were all banned twice, and Brock and Poco were each banned once. So bans are a really interesting point of information because they could indicate what teams think are the most threatening brawler, and they want to make sure that they don't have to face that, but typically they're used to prevent opponents from using a specific strategy that they're not great with, but their opponents might be good with. So Amber was a fairly new brawler, and she just got a bunch of balance changes, so it makes sense that you might want to ban her because the actual skill level of people running Amber is still a bit volatile with all those changes that happened. And with Colette, she's just a pretty strong brawler, and she had a really good showing at the finals with 18 different uses and overall a 65% win rate, which is really good. And just the fact that with one of her shots, she has a potential to wipe out so much health on the tankier brawlers. If you know you might be playing tankier brawlers, then it's definitely a good idea to ban Colette. So that makes sense. It doesn't necessarily indicate that she's a top tier brawler, that she got banned the most, same with Amber, but it does indicate that certain teams don't want to face those specific brawlers for one reason or another. Now the other bans, Carl, Max, Jean, and Brock, they're all just extremely top tier brawlers. They all had really high use rates, high win rates, so it makes sense that you might want to ban it, because if you know you can work well without using those specific brawlers, then you certainly don't want your opponents to have the chance to use that really good brawler. And then Poco is just if you don't want to face Poco double tank, which certainly is a situation that can come up once in a while. So the fact that Max was banned twice definitely, I would say, puts Max above Spike in terms of the overall power rankings for the brawler's performance in the World Finals, since Spike, you could use him at any point in the matches, but he was only used twice more than Max. So since Max was banned twice, she would have probably been used more if teams actually had the ability to pick her. So now looking at some of the less often picked brawlers, we have Jackie at 26 picks, which is still pretty high. Jackie's certainly a pretty solid brawler in the meta. Of course, you probably saw her a lot paired with Poco, but she's also just very good by herself on any particular map and mode that suits her, where she can get close to other brawlers and is likely going to have low health brawlers on the opponents that you can quickly take out. Then the next tier down, we have Piper and B, each with 23 plays. They're both extremely strong brawlers in the meta as well. Piper is extremely good in the modes she's good in. She's definitely one of the top few brawlers. It's just that she doesn't have as many uses because she's not good in as many modes. You really only see her in Gem Grab and Bounty, and maybe Siege here and there. And B is just a really good counterplay when you know your opponents are running a specific comp. She's just great at shredding tanks, and her new gadget, Rattling Hive, is a really good addition to her kit as well. So I definitely think that's why she was up here and saw a pretty strong performance overall. In terms of the throwers, Sprout actually had the most uses with 16 different showings. Tick was really close behind with just 15 showings. So those both seem to be the most popular thrower picks among pros in the current meta. Barley was a bit farther down at 11 picks, and Dynamite sadly was never used. There were 14 instances of Poco. Obviously, Poco double tank is still a pretty solid strategy and certainly has its uses depending on what you're expecting your opponents to play. Bo and Nani also saw several uses each. Obviously, they're really good basically only when together in Bounty. If the Nani just camps on the Bo super totem in the back of the map and just repeatedly cycles supers, that is certainly a viable strategy even at the World Finals level. And then there were some other less common picks sprinkled here and there. But that's gonna wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully you liked the World Finals. Shout out to PSG for winning the entire thing, and to Supercell for pulling the whole thing together even in the most unnatural of circumstances. Make sure to join the Send Squad 5K strong by subscribing, turning on notifications, and going to your settings and enabling notifications there as well. But that's all for today, guys, so see you later.